Welcome to Next Gen Manufacturing. Today, we're diving into something that's, well, a real game changer in how we make things. We're talking about the shift to materials that aren't designed to last forever. Yep, it's all about the rise of biodegradable polymers, a technology that's totally rethinking the entire life cycle of the products we use every day.
Okay, so to really get why this change is so massive, we first have to understand the world it's trying to disrupt. Let's hop in a time machine, go back to 2008, and just take a look at the sheer scale of conventional plastics.
Get a load of this number, 245 million tons. That's how much plastic was cranked out globally in just that 1 year, 2008. I mean, it's a number so big it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, right? And that figure really sets the stage for the challenge that these new materials are meant to tackle.
So where was all this stuff going? Well, this chart here gives us a great breakdown for Europe that same year. A whopping 38% of it went into packaging, things we often use once and then throw away. Another huge chunk, 21%, went into construction, 7% into cars. It was literally the material building our modern world.
Seeing those numbers, especially for single-use stuff, it really forces you to ask a pretty simple but profound question. If we're making products that are only meant to last for a few days or weeks, why in the world are we making them out of a material that sticks around for centuries? What if we could design materials with a totally different ending in mind?
And that question, well, it leads us right here to the biodegradable alternative. This is where a whole new class of materials enters the picture. Think of it like a new blueprint, one that's designed to work with nature's cycles, not fight against them. This is where manufacturing starts to get really, really smart.
Now, this is super important because it clears up a big misconception. When you hear biodegradable, you probably think it comes from a plant, right? And sometimes it does, from things like cornstarch, but it can also be made from traditional fossil fuels. The trick is, it's engineered with special chemical bonds that microbes in the soil can actually eat, allowing it to break down. So you've got two very different paths to the same goal.
And here's the thing, this isn't just about a couple of scientists having a eureka moment in a lab. To get these materials out into the real world, you have to build an entire ecosystem from scratch. We're talking about the story of how you create a whole new, viable industry. Because any serious industry, well, it needs a rulebook, right? For people to trust these new polymers, they have to perform as advertised. So standards were created. Things like EN 13432, which basically defines what compostable packaging actually means. These rules are what turn a cool science project into a reliable industrial product. It's the foundation for building a whole market. And here are just a few of the companies that were actually building that industry. You had pioneers in the plant-based space like Novamont from Italy and NatureWorks from the US. But then you also had the big established chemical giants like BASF in Germany, jumping in with their own fossil-based versions. When you see that kind of mix, you know the market is taking this really, really seriously.
So you've got the rules, you've got the producers, and that's when the market really started to pay attention. The growth numbers from this period, they tell a pretty amazing story about this tech, going from a small, niche idea to a real mainstream player.
Just look at the acceleration here. The estimated production capacity for bioplastics pretty much doubled in just 4 years, going from 200,000 tons in 2005 to 400,000 in 2009, and the forecast for just a few years later to blow past the 1 million ton mark. I mean, that's not just growth, that's explosive. And hey, this wasn't just the producers being optimistic. Check this out. Back in 2009, a major industry group, the French Flexible Packaging Association, predicted that these materials could grab up to 10% of the entire films and packaging market by 2015. When an organization like that says something like that, you know a real change is happening. But of course, that kind of rapid growth, it's never a perfectly smooth ride. There are always hurdles. And for this industry, the challenges were pretty clear. First, just making enough of the stuff. Second, improving the performance so it could compete with traditional plastics. And third, the big one, getting the price down.
So even with those challenges, the momentum was just undeniable. Which brings us to the big picture here. What does this whole story really tell us about the future of manufacturing? What happens when we start to totally reimagine the very building blocks of our world?
At the end of the day, the story of biodegradable polymers is about a massive shift. It shows us how a niche, almost environmental concept can grow up to become a structured, global industry, complete with standards, huge corporate players, and a crazy growth curve. It's a perfect case study for what we talk about here on Next-Gen Manufacturing.
And all of this leaves us with one final, exciting thought. If we can actually design materials that just disappear back into the earth, what other impossible problems can we solve? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What will the materials of tomorrow make possible? And all of this leaves us with one final, exciting thought. If we can actually design materials that just disappear back into the earth, what other impossible problems can we solve? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What will the materials of tomorrow make possible? Thanks for joining us on Next Gen Manufacturing.